This right here is Mr. Jack Smith. He's the special counsel within the Department of Justice who's currently leading the charge in two of the cases against President Trump, the January 6th case as well as the classified documents case. However, the big question that's been hanging in the air ever since these indictments began coming to light was whether or not, behind the scenes, there's been collusion between Jack Smith and the White House. Was, or perhaps is, the White House in any way, shape, or form involved in all these different prosecutions against President Trump? Now, for their part, the White House has denied any involvement. However, a new bombshell report seems to poke a hole in that very well-crafted narrative. This report, that was published first by the New York Post, revealed the fact that just several weeks before they brought the charges against President Trump, one of Jack Smith's top aides had a meeting with the White House. Specifically, this report centers around this man here, Mr. Jay Bratt. He joined Jack Smith's special counsel team all the way back in November of 2022, right around the time that it was actually formed. And Mr. Bratt has been playing a large role in the investigation. For instance, not only did he go and visit Mar-a-Lago to inspect the boxes that were stored there, and he also interacted with President Trump personally, but also, according to this report here from the Washington Post, Jay Bratt was a leading advocate for pushing forward the unannounced FBI raid that took place on Mar-a-Lago. Meaning that Mr. Jay Bratt is not a low-level pencil pusher. He is a top aide to Mr. Jack Smith, and he's intimately involved with the case. And so, to anyone that was actually paying attention, it was a major shock to learn that he was taking meetings with the White House. Specifically, here is a timeline of events. On March 17th of this year, an Obama-appointed judge rejected claims of attorney-client privilege and forced President Trump's lawyer to testify before a grand jury in Jack Smith's classified documents case. Then, exactly 2 weeks later, on March 31st at 10 a.m. in the morning, Mr. Jay Bratt took a meeting at the White House. On that day, according to White House logs, he met with two people. Ms. Caroline Saba, who was the Deputy Chief of Staff for the White House Counsel's Office, as well as Danielle Ray, who was an FBI agent in the Washington field office. And then, wouldn't you know it, just a few weeks after this mystery meeting, President Trump was indicted on 37 counts by Jack Smith and his team of federal prosecutors. Furthermore, it's also worth noting that according to the White House logs, this was not the only meeting of the sort which took place. That's because earlier, when President Trump was in the middle of negotiations with the National Archives about all these classified documents, Jay Bratt had another two meetings at the White House. One was in September of 2021, where he met with Ms. Catherine Riley, who was an advisor to the White House Chief of Staff's office. And then just a month later, the second meeting, which was in November of 2021, where he met with Ms. Caroline Saba, who is again the Deputy Chief of Staff for the White House Counsel's Office. And again, both of these meetings were taking place amidst the backdrop of the National Archives negotiating with President Trump's team regarding those classified documents. Now, the visitor logs don't mention what exactly was discussed during those meetings. For all we know, everybody involved was just discussing the weather. However, given the context and the timeline of events, and given the positions of all the individuals involved in these meetings, well, they have naturally raised quite a few concerns about a coordinated legal effort that was being aimed to take down Joe Biden's 2024 presidential contender. And in fact, along that line, Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who was President Trump's former lawyer and who is now a defendant in the Georgia case, he said, when he was asked about these White House meetings, the following, quote, "There is no legitimate purpose for a lying Department of Justice guy to be meeting with the White House except if it's coordinated by the highest levels." Furthermore, when he was asked whether or not he believes that the White House and the special counsel were coordinating their prosecution of President Trump, well, here was Giuliani's response, quote, "You're darn right I do. What's happening is they have trashed every ethical rule that exists, and they've created a state police. It is a Biden state prosecutor and a Biden state police." Furthermore, when asked about a meeting of this nature, Mr. Jonathan Turley, who is a law professor over at George Washington University, he said the following, quote, "The March meeting was particularly troublesome and raises obvious concerns about visits to the White House after Jay Bratt began his work with the special counsel. There is no reason why the Justice Department should not be able to confirm whether this meeting was related to the ongoing investigation or concerns some other matter." And indeed, when they were asked for a public comment about this particular meeting, the spokesman for the special counsel said that Mr. Jay Bratt was at the White House for a quote-unquote case-related interview. And that was it. He declined to comment any further. Now, we here at the Epoch Times, we did reach out to both the Department of Justice and the FBI, as well as to the White House, in order to get clarity on what this meeting was all about. However, they have yet to get back to us. As soon as they do, we'll let you know what they say. And so, there you have it. The logs provide absolutely no details regarding what took place during the meeting. No one who was there wants to explain what all these meetings were about. And so the only thing that we're left to know for sure is that the White House counsel's office had a mystery meeting with a member of Jack Smith's team while they were actively investigating President Trump, who is, at that time and right now, Joe Biden's biggest contender in the 2024 presidential race. Which kind of makes you wonder, if everything was above board, why not just come out and say it, in order to, if nothing else, clear the air and avoid even the appearance of a conspiracy? But perhaps because the media in this country refuses to report on stories like this, they just don't feel like they have to. Regardless, the end result is that President Trump will now be in court for a large swath of the 2024 presidential race. If you'd like to go through the White House visitor logs for yourself, I'll throw the links to them. They'll be down there in the description box below this video for you to peruse at your own leisure. And also, I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you think that there was some legitimate reason for the special counsel, which is supposed to be completely independent, for someone from the special counsel to be meeting with the White House at the very same time that they're investigating Joe Biden's biggest political rival? And if so, what do you think that legitimate reason is? Please leave your thoughts in the comments section below. I'd love to read them. I'll be reading them later tonight as well into the week. And also, while you're making your way down there to leave those comments, consider taking a small detour to smash those like and subscribe buttons so that this video can be shared out to ever more people. And now let's take a super quick break to introduce today's sponsor by showing you this little piece of money. Or rather, I should say that this is fake money being printed into oblivion by those geniuses over in Washington, D.C. And so before they completely obliterate your life savings, what I recommend you do is to convert that fake money into real money, which is physical gold and silver. And the best company to use is the sponsor of today's episode, American Hartford Gold, who also happens to be my own personal gold and silver bullion dealer. They have thousands of other 5-star ratings across the country. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. They ship quickly, directly to your doorstep. Their product listings are awesome. They're stacked with great options of gold and silver bullion and coins, and they have amazing customer service. When you pick up the phone and call them, you feel good knowing you support a company that supports the truth getting out into the wider American audience. And so calling them up is a no-brainer. But best of all, if you tell them that Roman sent you, they will throw in up to $5,000 worth of free silver with your first purchase. It's 866-242-2352, or you can simply text the word Roman, R-O-M-A-N, Roman, to 65532. Of course, all their details will be down in the description box below. And now, let's head on back to the studio. And lastly, if you are just sick and tired of all the censorship on this platform, as well as all the other platforms, well, you're in luck, because the Epoch Times has extended its awesome sale on subscriptions. Just 25 cents a week for the whole year, which, if you do the math, works itself out to just be a single $1 a month. And so if you've been on the fence about subscribing to the Epoch Times, maybe you're definitely looking for an honest source of news and you head on over to the Epoch Times website and you're getting hit with a paywall again and again and it's getting a little bit frustrating, well, perhaps take the sale as an opportunity to try the Epoch Times for yourself. I'll throw a link down into the description box below this video to the sale page, and you can subscribe there for, again, just a single $1 a month. And that way you can get access to everything, all the awesome documentaries, all the great videos, all the movies, all the infographics we put together, all the analyses, all the articles. Basically, you'll get unlimited access to everything that we publish. So again, that link is right there at the top of the description box below. I hope you check it out. You can cancel anytime, but I'm sure that you won't. I'm sure that you will love it. And then, until next time, I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Stay informed, and most importantly, stay free.